U.S. forces shooting down Iranian drones that threatened the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. It comes as new reports from NBC News and the New York Times allege that the Pentagon has raised their threat concerns over Israeli spying. Brian Kilmeade, Fox and Friends co-host and host of One Nation and bona fide Knicks fan, which we will get to. But Brian, there is this reporting about that Israel could be spying on American officials like Steve Witkoff and others during the Iran talks. The White House and the Israeli embassy in D.C. pushing back aggressively against this. What are you hearing about it?
What am I hearing about it? It is total BS. It's another anti-Israel story planted in a major media organization, put forward to help divide the two of the good guys, the U.S. and Israel. The problem in this whole thing is Iran. And the other problem is Hezbollah. Hezbollah is an unwelcome force in Lebanon. They have taken over that country, and they're finally being pushed back. They did not sign on to end a peace agreement. When it comes to Israel, I was in touch with some of the highest level of our intelligence apparatus. They say this is a dumb story. It is well known that we do the same exact thing with France, with Britain, and Israel. We are known to share intelligence and also monitor each other. This is just another example of people going out of their way to try to create a divide between us and Israel. And it does not exist. Yes, you have real arguments. That's called what friends do all the time. And that's really, really important for people to understand. Just because you have a disagreement on when to attack or not to attack or how to approach things doesn't mean that's a bad alliance. That's called a real relationship. And there's nothing tighter in this world than the U.S. and Israel. And I would argue that we have no better friend in the world than Israel. And this is also look out for these same organs that want to divide and also blame President Trump for what's going on in Iran and paint Iran in a sympathetic light. They are the problem in the Middle East. They are hitting innocent Gulf countries that want no part of this conflict, Bahrain and Kuwait. We see that. They're not even going after Saudi Arabia anymore because they know they're going to get hit back, as well as the UAE. They can't touch us, so they're going after our allies and trying to hurt us economically. And it's going to go back to what Jack Keane said on Friday and Saturday. We're going to have no choice but to go after them for the next 10 to 2 weeks and finish them off and do lasting damage and reopen the strait ourselves. But Israel's not the problem, and don't fall for some of these narratives that in the past we have not fallen for, but it seems we're hook, line, and sinker today. But that's just not the case.
You know, Brian, we're getting vociferous pushback from both the White House and the Israeli embassy to the U.S. The Israeli embassy saying this: Israel does not gather intelligence on American entities, let alone U.S. government officials. Israeli intelligence collection efforts are aimed at its enemies, not its allies. In the White House saying this entire story is false and sourced to someone who doesn't have any knowledge of what's going on. So that's a strong pushback indeed. I got to turn the page, though, to the Knicks game. And as you are aware, I have been rooting for the Knicks, and I am a fair weather fan. I agree, although I have been predicting about a sweep. President Trump says he is going to Madison Square Garden tomorrow night for Game 3. Listen here.
Well, I'll be going to Game 3. I guess it's Game 3 on Monday. I thought it was amazing. I think the Knicks have an amazing team, the way they played. Started off slow, and it just got stronger and stronger. Wemby looks like he's going to be a great player, but they really played well, I thought.
So he's going. What do you make of it?
I talked to him on Friday, and he said, what should I do? Should I sit on the court or should I go in the box? And I said, Mr. President, my advice is what intelligence would, your security force would love to see you in a box. That would be much better. As far as the game goes, nobody can bring any bags. You got to get there before. But the president, this is an authentic fan, just like UFC. He's been going to Knicks games since the 80s. And you see him with Marv Albert on the telecast. You see him in the front row. This is a passion of his, and it just shows you why he resonates with America. Now, I'm getting pushback going against Lawrence Jones, the great Lawrence Jones in Texas. I'm not anti-San Antonio Spurs. I love their story. I love their talent. I think they're going to be back in the finals, hovering around the championship for the next 10 years, especially with that center. I just think this is the Knick run I've never seen in my lifetime. To be a number 3 seed and reel off 12 straight wins, and the last 2 on the road against San Antonio, with a team which you could say is without the so-called top-level superstars, but 2 emerged on the roster instead of them coming to the roster. I love that story. And what I love most, Griff, is not the people in the arena. I love the people outside the arena. When you have people that say, yeah, I can't afford the tickets, but I'm going to come and watch on television on a big screen to experience it with other people in the streets, outside the Garden, at Radio City. It's really special. But for the people of Texas, I am not anti-Spurs. It's been 53 years. I was in single digits last time the Knicks won. I just would like to see it again. And this team is more than deserving of doing it. And I could predict nothing but a victory on Game 3. And I will be there in the arena to make sure I get the final score correct.
That's awesome. And you're right. There's Knick fever in this city right now.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.